This coming school year will be my 20th year in education, and I vividly remember the plan that I had set for myself very early on. I would become a teacher, at a master's degree, become a teacher, work on my PhD, become a principal, and eventually, by now, probably have retired from the school system and become a consultant. None of which, well, hardly any of which happened, and which is fine. I also remember, because I started in middle school teaching 7th and 8th grade English, I remember thinking, how hard can this be? Oh, yeah, okay. I had my own preconceived ideas of what the classroom was going to be like in middle school, and that preconceived idea was based on what middle school or junior high was like when I was in 7th grade. And things were not like when I was in 7th grade. And what I learned very early on is that with 150 kids, every one of them had their own personal viewpoint of what that classroom was supposed to be like. And trying to harness all of those things into one area that I could control was kind of like herding cats. For me, this idea of the different ways that we see the classroom was brought home for me in a video clip that I saw concerning another young black man who has been killed recently, Ahmaud Arbery. He was approached by police, and he got out of his car. He knew he hadn't done anything wrong, and he had had enough. And he was yelling and venting his anger at a lifetime, probably, of being singled out for being black. It was clear he had no weapon. He was not a threat, other than the fact that he was angry and he was yelling. And in the video, another police officer approaches from his side and attempts to tase him. And it was only, I guess by the grace of God, the taser didn't fire. And that struck me very, very hard. You see, I believe that those police officers also had a preconceived idea of what was going to happen, and what happened was not it. And I think that we find this in our classrooms at times. As teachers, we see a student who is acting out, or who is not on task, or who is on their phone, or is talking to their neighbor, and we approach them, and we think that we are just going to have this nice little conversation of, I really wish you'd get back on task, or please put your phone away. But there are outside circumstances that we have not planned on, we have not taken into consideration. And sometimes our students receive that much differently than we intend to give it. And as a result, bam, there is a confrontation. What did we put in place prior to that that could have mitigated a blow up? What relationship did we build with that student that would allow us to approach them and say, hey, I need you to do something different in a non-threatening way? The teacher may have absolutely no hidden agenda whatsoever, except they just want to teach. And the student is responding to something that the teacher's not even aware of. I think James Baldwin said it best, and I've been watching a lot of speeches and interviews with James Baldwin lately. One of the things he talked about in his childhood was, as he grew up in Harlem, he said, I grew to look at the school in the same way I looked at the streets. And I think we have students who do that. They feel disenfranchised. They feel targeted. They feel threatened on the street. And as a result, they feel those things in the classroom. And it's up to us as teachers, it's up to us as the adult in the room to learn about those things, to come to grips with those things, to mitigate those things, and to try to build relationships that end that conflict. We'll see you next week.